Hold on, whoops, let me.
Hi, everyone.
Across the top.
Let's go, Ernesto. Now we are recording, so now we are official.
Okay. Hi, I'm Matt's colleague, Ernesto. Yesterday was my 1-year anniversary in the office.
Congratulations.
And I'm going to jump off at 6 because I'm going to Flowing Wells. But good to see you, everyone.
All right, Sarah, you want to go next?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Sarah Lanius. I get to work with Matt and Ernesto in the Ward 3 Council office, and it's so nice to see all of you tonight. And thanks so much to Jefferson Park and to North Dodge, to Fran, for presenting tonight.
Then I'll just go ahead and call on folks as I see them. So Faye, you're up first.
All right, I'm happy to be first. Faye Goodspeed from Limberlost Neighborhood Association, and really happy to see we've got actually a news e-news going out this Saturday, so perfect timing.
Excellent. All right, Connie, you are next.
Hi, I'm Connie Price Johnson. Can you hear me? Because sometimes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I live in the Campus Farm neighborhood, and I came to learn something.
Awesome. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Next up is Nancy.
I'm with Limberlost Neighborhood Association.
Awesome. Welcome in. Colleen.
Hi, Colleen Nichols from Jefferson Park Neighborhood Association.
Awesome. Next is Steve.
Steve Safkin, Broadmoor Broadway Village Neighborhood Association.
All right, excellent. Dorothy.
Dorothy Yanes, Brickton Neighborhood, Silver Bell, and Grant Road to Speedway, and we are just now starting to get re-energized.
Excellent.
In something or other.
Reinvigorated. All right, Nicole Snook.
Reincarnated, that's a good one. Nicole Snook, part of the Flowing Wells Neighborhood Association, and specifically the Flowing Wells Estates Neighborhood Watch.
Excellent. All right, Martha Ritalik.
Martha Ritalik, El Cortez Heights Neighborhood Association.
All right, welcome in. And now we have Molly.
Molly Collins with the Rio Chico, which is 22nd to Tucson Boulevard, roughly, and Country Club.
Excellent. Well, welcome everybody. I'll just hold on. We have one more. Margie is just joining us, so let's wait a moment for her to. Margie, sorry to put you on the spot, but we just finished introduction. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Okay, great. I'll do it really quickly. Margie Mortimer from Baudin Opal neighborhood.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
And Matt, I don't think Joan has had a chance to introduce herself yet.
Yeah, I was going to introduce the presenters as they present.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, so thank you all for coming, and we really do appreciate it. This topic for this Ward 3 neighborhood session is e-newsletters, and we are going to be having two great presenters for you today. We have Joan Daniels from the Jefferson Park neighborhood and Fran Garcia from the North Dodge neighborhood. Yeah, just a few quick things. If you're not speaking, if you could go ahead and mute yourself, that would be really appreciated, just so we don't have any feedback that's distracting. And then if anybody has any questions while one of our presenters are presenting, go ahead and raise your hand in the raise your hand feature. If that's a problem, you can just go ahead and physically raise your hand, and I'll be able to see it, and then I can call on you. And I think, let me just double check the agenda. Yep. So we should be good. So we split up this session in sort of two different tranches, if you will. The two tranches are content and delivery. So first we're going to talk about content, each neighborhood, to talk about what our respective presenters find their neighborhood recipients, the kind of information that they find interesting, engaging, that's important to them, that they want to get out. And then after that, we'll focus on delivery. So sort of the platforms that each neighborhood use to get their message out. So to start us off, we have Fran Garcia. She is one of the leaders of the newly resurgent North Dodge neighborhood. Between the neighborhood and a coalition that we have, Fran has been super active and engaged in the North Dodge area. So Fran, if you want to go ahead and take it away. And again, first up is the content half of the newsletter.
Okay, well, I'll certainly try my best here. I'm looking over at who puts the content together. Matt had formed some questions, and I'm just gonna kind of talk off the top of my head and who puts it together and the content created. And for the time being, since we started, or since I got North Dodge reactivated, it has been entirely me that the newsletter has fallen to. That's okay. That's I'm not making any beefs about that at all. So where I grab the content and what I choose are a couple of different places, or there's a lot of different places. And if you're not familiar with Newsnet, you should make sure that you get subscribe to that, because a lot of content comes from there, and that comes out. I'm not sure if it comes out daily, but it comes out almost 5 times a week. There's something that comes from the city. And there's a lot of information that comes from there, and a lot of people wouldn't be subscribed to that, and so there's a lot of information that you can always put in your newsletter that way. One of the other things that I'll go back to where I get it sometimes in other ways, but how is it chosen? So I'm going to kind of go there as well. North Dodge, we're small actually. We're only 16 blocks. We border on Alvernon and Palo Verde and Fort Lowell Glen. And a lot of our population in North Dodge is in poverty or low income. And so when I'm choosing content for that, I try and keep that in mind and make sure to try and, even though I don't think that a lot of our newsletters are reaching a lot of these people that are in the poverty level or in the low income level. It might be reaching one of their neighbors. It might be reaching a parent or someone else of someone that's in trouble or whatever right now, especially with this pandemic. So I try and do things like across the board. So if there's free food available, I don't necessarily put it out there every week, or where they can get that, or rental assistance or job assistance, or all the different things that the city puts out there that's now available and stuff like that. But I try and include that. So I try and include a lot of things that are kind of like across the board, and especially things that I think that the subscribers would be interested in. Recently, of course, the vaccination rollouts. So I put in a lot of information about that one in our last newsletter. And just things in general. That's, Matt also included how much time does it take to put together. That's going again to which platform we're using. And I noticed that Jefferson Park uses Constant Contact. And because we're so small and we have no money, we use the free one, which is MailChimp. And I'm going to say it takes me about 3 or 4 hours for each issue in total. And it's kind of hard to estimate that, because once I end the newsletter, once I send one out, I almost kind of immediately start on the next one. If I see some content that I think is might be useful in the next newsletter, I have a folder at the ready and I throw it in there. I may or may not use it, but I have stuff like that available to me. So that's how I put that together. Other places for where to grab content is Facebook, and looking at some of the things that the city puts out there, especially like environmental services, following them, Tucson Water, City of Tucson. All of those are places where to get content, I think. Just watching what's going on in your neighborhood. I'm really concerned about the drought that we're in right now, and so I keep kind of harping on our neighborhood to try and water their trees and water things, because the losses of the plants and the trees are going to be tremendous and far more expensive. That's my opinion, but I put it out there and I try and remind people to do that. And anyway, so that's kind of, I think I've kind of covered what Matt has requested for that aspect. And
Fran, if I could
If
interject
there's
one-
anything else,
another question for you. What is your, how often do you target sending these out? So what is the frequency of the newsletter?
that's right, that question is there. I don't have a set of times because it's only me. I put it out about every 2 to 3 weeks. If there's a lot of stuff happening, I may even throw one out there after just a week. Especially over this past year, there's been so much going on and so much important information about the pandemic and testing and the sort of things. I might throw one out there then, but I feel comfortable that for the amount of subscribers that we have, which is still a small amount, that doing every 2 to 3 weeks is ample for us at this juncture.
Great. And then Fran, would you be able to do a screen share? Either now if you're able to, and then if not, we can come back to it when you do the content portion, just so we can get a visual.
I'm prepared to do that. I was kind of putting that off to the second segment instead of kind of getting too far ahead in things. But
No problem.
I am prepared to do that. Would you like me to do it now? I can.
If you now, if you're, yeah, let's take a look, and we'll keep in mind some of the content, with an
Okay.
eye towards content at the moment.
But I just got an alert here that says host disabled, participant screen sharing. So let's try
I
that
made you
again.
a co-host, so you should be able to.
Nope, coming up again. Well, maybe we should move, maybe this is telling us to move on and we'll work on that, Matt.
Great. Well, since we have that, if there's any, we have a few minutes left in Fran's segment. If there are any quick questions for Fran at the moment, we have time for one.
I don't hear anything.
How long I'm sorry, this is Margie. How, sorry, I've got brain fog right now. How many pages is usually your newsletter?
Well, Margie, when you see it, you're gonna find, actually, I'll probably put a link into one that's online. But when you see it, you'll see that it's not pages, it just comes out as one long and skinny email. So
Okay.
there's no way to really be able to estimate how many pages it is.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you so much, Fran. She'll be right back to talk about delivery here in a minute. And now we're going to turn it over to Joan Daniels from the Jefferson Park neighborhood to talk about their newsletter. Joan, you are muted.
Okay, I was going to try to get the PDF up because that puts what the content is we go by. Can I try it?
Yeah.
Let's
Let's
see.
try.
I think it's gonna, yep.
Mine's working now. I can tell.
Oh,
that I
good.
can
Oh,
share the
good.
screen now, so.
Now, I see it. Do you see it?
Yep.
I see.
Okay.
Yes.
So in terms of this is the lady that asked about, does it look pages? I was able to go to look at North Dodge, and they have done a wonderful job with MailChimp. I've never seen MailChimp look so good. But it is long, and this is Constant Contact. So we do have to pay for Constant Contact. We pay $182 a year, and the association and then the nonprofit share, we do it half and half. So I only know that because we just paid. So what we do is always have the same banners, and then I do the newsletter, but I have 3 great people who do the editing, and Colleen is one of them. And Colleen, you're going to jump in here whenever for whatever I forget.
Okay.
But what we usually do is we break it up into the neighborhood, and then projects, and then we do community things, and then at the very end we do the kinds of things, and I hope I hope Fran gets to show you hers because she has a cool way that you can access all the different things in the city. But this is how we do it. Constant Contact allows us to put in, what's this one from? Oh, this is September. Allows us to put in little YouTube. So it won't work. This won't work because it's a PDF. But one of the big issues that we're having, and so was front and center in September, were the big 138 kV poles. And so this whole section was really important. Let's see, did I do? Okay. And telling people what to do. And then had something from a neighbor. Not too often do we get things, articles from our neighbors. But this one was relative to the TEP polls, and so we put it in. And then Councilperson Durham said something about it, and then we give people all the links to go to in this virtual memory thing. And then, yeah, where they can go. So it was voting time, so that was a big one. Lend a Hand is our senior services, so we run that. Any project that we have, we also run right at first, and this is the linear park that the neighborhood's been working on for 6 years, because when they expanded Grant Road, the first thing that happened was they were going to leave all of our side, which borders our neighborhood, and our north end of the neighborhood is Grant Road. They were going to leave it all commercial. So we got together and got the council to say, no, it had to stay R1. So once it was R1, it's kind of, what are we going to do with it? And we said, well, we want a linear park there. So they've been building this linear park, and the funding came. Well, we wrote a couple grants and they didn't go through, but then the 407, the park, I think it's 407, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the park people came through. And so it's almost done. We were out there, we were actually out there with Matt on Friday and talking about signage and where to place historic signs too. So
Joan, can I just add a little addition to that, which is 407 was funded by all of you voters. So you helped make that happen. So thank you.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, we're thankful for it.
Yeah.
We got the berms in hopes to deflect a little bit of the sound off Grant Road, but the visual mitigation is going to be the trees, which will be really good. So this was another issue. We also have service providers. We also recommend service providers, and that's on our website. So I always put links to our website if people want to know who to mow their lawn and things like that. A big issue in our neighborhood, you know, if we're south of Grant, you will know that we have a student population. Not as bad as some neighborhoods, but it's pretty bad. So we have a system for checking with NSN, which NAY support, the neighborhood support group.
Network.
And network, and then we have a relationship with a TPD that tells us how many loud party and loud music calls come in. And then we work with the U of A, and then Colleen sends out friendly letters to the students and to the owners, because the kids don't know that they've been called. They only know if they get a red tag. So they'll never know that they've had people call on them unless we send our letters. So I think this has been really good, huh, Colleen? We really cut it way back. And then of course the COVID,
Yes.
and then the U of A really coming down hard on everybody has made it much better. Did you want to say anything about that, Colleen?
No, we do have quite a bit of information in our newsletter that involves the U of A or Banner or things for students, because we do have such a large student population. So it's just, you know, we kind of, I would say, comb those information areas to get, you know, items that might be relevant to put in the newsletters.
So to compare the neighborhoods, we have about 600 homes between Grant and almost to Speedway, and then Euclid to Campbell is our area.
So it's large.
Yeah. So then we do our committees, and we have a great green committee. And then we start things about the community. Just like Fran was saying, I go and pick up stuff from almost the same places she does, except I do a lot of stealing. And I'm going to steal from North Dodge too, because it's wonderful about this. And I already checked it in that other newsletter. You can copy and then bring it into your own newsletter. So I copy. Meg Johnson in Garden District has an incredible newsletter, which is also Constant Contact. So I steal from her.
So, excuse me, Joan. So, in full disclosure, I get your e-newsletter.
Uh-huh.
I got signed up at one of those meetings I was at for you folks. So you're saying it's okay for me to steal or borrow your graphics, right?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
Meg Johnson and I are actually really good friends. And outside of, let's say, any neighborhood stuff, we actually socialize together and stuff like that. She's just absolutely terrific. You know, the only thing, and I think Joan would agree with this, is if you can see that the content is, you know, has been personally like written by Meg or by the Garden District, that there's a little blurb, a little courtesy, you know, copied from, or, you know, thanks to the Garden District and stuff like that. Meg and I, we love to plagiarize from one another.
Yeah, and usually I didn't have anything copied from here, but yeah, I'll give Garden, and then from Ward 3, I will put that in there too.
But it's all to make everything easier on each of us, you know. So trust me, Joan and Colleen, I'm going to be subscribing to this newsletter very soon. We will find
I think it's good to help promote each other.
That's right. That's right. I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely.
We're being neighborly.
Yep. Yep.
So we put things on about people want to know who the lead officers are. And then this is more information because now since COVID is out, but what we run at the end is this links to this cheat sheet, which is really great. And I think it's Ward 6 that keeps it up. And what it is, it's a sheet that has everything in the city on it, plus all the links and telephone. So we do that. And then there's a homeless. Then our own neighborhood contacts. And we have 6 areas, and we have a area representative for each area. So we always publish that. This neighborhood resources, that's our own website to send people to. Then some other things. There's our neighborhood, and there's our how we divide it up. And what Colleen told you about U of A, we have 24/7 available number there. Unruly calling, and right now the helicopter's an issue. So our Paul is here, and then Steve puts out I steal from Steve too.
Yeah.
Is it? And sometimes so. And then let's see. Then there's just us, myself and Colleen. And I have 3 editors, and that's really important because when you're working on it and you cross your eyes, after a while it doesn't make sense.
That's something that's very true that happens with our office newsletter as well. We need more eyes always help.
Right. Stuff that looks perfectly fine, somebody else finds. Okay, were there any questions?
I've got one more question.
Sarah from Ward 3 has a question.
How often do you put the newsletter out, Joan?
For sure once a month. But then when things come up, like we're having our election and things like that, it'll be more than that. And I know what Fran's talking about. Probably the total is like 3 hours or something, but when you find stuff, you put it in. You find stuff, you put it in. And so then by the time it's time to send one out, then you have all your things and you just go in and fix them up.
And as Fran mentioned too, she said every once in a while she needs to put one out, you know, due to something timely that's coming up. And that's been true for Jefferson Park a couple of times with the TEP polls and something else that we didn't think of that then Joan has put out, just kind of a really quick newsletter to everyone to alert them that a special meeting is coming up or something like that.
Excellent. And we have a question from Margie.
Yes, I was just going to ask if this MailChimp format is easy to work with.
Oh, that is a perfect segue into the second half of our agenda. So the second half of our agenda is sort of the delivery side. So how do you know, I just quickly to wrap this up. So, you know, each neighborhood is unique, obviously, and I wanted everyone to get a flavor of what 2 different Ward 3 neighborhoods work with in terms of content, you know, what your neighborhood, you know, a neighborhood newsletter that you might want to be interested in starting or finding or whatever. It's going to be specific to your neighborhood too. So the idea is being, you know, you make it your own with relevant ideas. So now that you have this kind of background and you have great content and you're going to write, "'Twas a dark and stormy night," and everybody's going to be really loving what you have to say. How do you get people to read it? So that is this half. So I'll turn it over back to Fran to talk about delivery. Before I do that, Faye, did I see your hand up?
Yeah.
I am unmuted now. Yes, I had one question for both gals. What kind of response do you get from your constituents once the letter goes out? Is there a back and forth communication? Do people comment? Do you have a place to do that on the newsletter, or do they have to go to your website?
Well, with North Dodge, I mean, I'm happy that I don't get a lot of response to it, but when I do, it's always in the positive. And thank you for doing it, and I enjoy reading it and stuff like that. And I'm going to say I probably get about 1 per newsletter. That's about it. You know, sometimes I'll go, you know, a few weeks and no one will say anything, and then I'll get like, ooh, you know, like a gush of 3 people all saying, you know, I've told you this before, or thank you very much, or whatever. So that's about it though for us.
I get the most if there's something wrong. I don't get very much. Not for the amount of time you put into it. There isn't, but I think it's extremely useful. I just think people have come to sort of expect it.
Yeah.
I do get people who say thank you very much.
Yeah.
But there better not be anything wrong in it, because I hear about that.
That's one thing you'd always hear very quickly. Well,
Thank you very
since
much.
my
Appreciate
screen
that.
share is should be working now.
Yeah.
Let's hope we don't find ourselves seeing all kinds of things on my computer, but we're going to try and get there to the right page, which who knows if that's going to happen. And I'm looking for the one I want to find. And where is it? Maybe it's under screen 2. We'll find out. We might all be looking at ourselves. I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go.
There we go.
Okay, are we looking at at the newsletter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go over kind of quickly. In the chat, I had put a link to this newsletter. So this is one of the good things that I find with MailChimp. MailChimp is free. It is not as user. I think it was Margie that posed the question. And I'm going to bring up Meg Johnson again, because Meg was helping another neighborhood use MailChimp for a while, and she is accustomed to Constant Contact. So I have learned from her that she does feel that the Constant Contact user interface is a lot more user-friendly than MailChimp. But there are things now. I have never used Constant Contact because we don't have the money for it, so we have to go with the freebie. And I do find though that there are certain things that MailChimp has that I like as you know, I don't want to say advantages, but just general advantages, not advantages over Constant Contact. One of the things is when it gets mailed out, you see this here. this area here in your inbox or in your phone. And it has this link here, view this email in your browser. So that's one thing. I put it over in the chat, a link. You can access this newsletter online, and it's very easy, and it's always available to people to be able to do it that way. Now, the other thing it does when you view it in your browser, which is what we're doing right here, that it has a subscribe button. It has past issues. I'm going to click on that real quick, and it will show the 20 past issues, and they're all live and active, and we can go to any one of them just by choosing them. Now, I want to click that off and not click, oh gosh, oh, wait a minute, it's going to be tough on me because I've got the thing is over my, well, let's see, we'll go this way. Okay. Now, another thing that I really like that MailChimp does is it has this translate. So if you have, let's say, people in your neighborhood that are, it doesn't have to be a large group, but even just some residents that are from someplace else that English is their second language, it has all these different things that it can be translated to. So if you really wanted to reach some of those people as well, you'd be able to do so. So that's one of the things there. Now I can just kind of go down this real quickly. I'm not going to go into as much depth as Joan did, because she's kind of really covered the same thing here. This is all our personal choice for content. But one of the things that you get with MailChimp is that it's very skinny. And so I always have to kind of keep that in mind. If you start to write something that becomes too long, it just becomes this enormously long thing. So what you do, or what I do, is that I wind up trying to condense things, and I provide links. So for instance, something here, one of our lead police officers was recently promoted and made a detective. And he wrote the North Dodge neighborhood, a nice little farewell. And so I put it in as a link. So it's not, that nobody is going to read this whole thing. It's not all part of the newsletter. So there's always a lot of links involved when we're doing this, or when I put this together. That becomes a little time consuming. One of the other things that I do, and I think I could see that Joan does it too, is kind of, it's bulleted to me. It's just kind of like, boy, I'm going to give you a headline, and you're going to choose if you're going to want to read that or not. And if not, you can skip down to the next one fairly quickly. What attracts you is going to be what if you're going to choose to read it or not. And that is an important phone call that I hope my husband gets. Anyway, so that's basically, so I'll just kind of scroll down to the bottom of the newsletter. And Joan mentioned before, this is how I'm going to stop including these. This is just like, I'm just doing a quick aside here. I started including these because of the pandemic, and a lot of people were feeling very depressed. So I started putting in some funnies, you know, but as soon as this pandemic is over, I'm getting away from those. I don't necessarily feel that they're the right thing for the newsletter. Is just to try and give somebody a little bit of a giggle right now. And anyway, and so I also have incorporated a coronavirus corner. And so that there's things here, anything you want to know or where to go with the coronavirus, you can find out all kinds of stuff. Always include upcoming recycling and stuff. And then this is quick links. I'm probably going to redesign this in the near future pretty soon. But this is when you want to find all the things that you want to find. You want to put in a report a pothole, you can find it at the bottom of every single newsletter. Now, the next thing I'm going to move on to here, let's see if I can find, oh boy. That screen sharing thing is right on the tab that I need. See if I can move the, I can move that.
I know what you mean, Fran, yeah.
Yeah, okay, here, I got it. So now I've put this, okay, now I got this here. So I just wanted to kind of go over things on, this is how you edit it. So this is like, for instance, the last newsletter. What this is called a WYSIWYG editor. And WYSIWYG stands for what you see is what you get. And so you make it up when you go in and you start designing your newsletter. You have over here on one side these boxes that you can take and put in over here. And image, image card, image and text, share, box text. They all mean different things. I can't go into all the explanation of all of that. That would just be too much time consuming. It's the type of thing that if you were to try and start this up, you go in there, you play with this for a while, you start to feel comfortable. What you see is what you get. So what you see over here is what you get. And the other thing that MailChimp provides is up here in the right-hand corner, preview and edit. And so it says send, well, that gives you two choices. Send a test email, so you can just send like one to yourself to see how it's looking, but enter preview mode. So when we do this, MailChimp also gives you the opportunity to look at it. This is the way it looks on the desktop, and so you can see, but it gives you the opportunity to test your links, to look at it a little bit differently without it kind of being in the editor. So it gives you that, but it also gives you what it looks like on a mobile device. And probably 50% of the people that read these things are reading them on a phone. And so then you can see what it looks like there. I do not tailor mine for phones. I tailor mine for desktops and computers. I can't go that far with it. So that's that part. Now let's see. If I X this out, where am I going? Let's find out. Oh, good. I went back to the editor. I'm frightened we're going to go someplace else. Like, I'm not really too sure. This bar across the top is kind of covering quite a bit. But when you go in to do anything like this, this is a very simple thing. In here, you can drag the boxes. So you put them where you want to. So I can take it down here if I want to. If I want to, let's say, duplicate that block, I can duplicate it. Then if I don't want it, I delete it. I decide I don't want it there. I'm going to move it up there. If I had, let's see if I can find some, I had it set up, but of course, everything is not quite the way I was hoping it would be. Let's find something here. Okay, here's a small graphic. But so I can go to my own, let's say, oh, I don't like that graphic here. All I have to do is take it from my file folder and drag it over, and it's going to just pop that new graphic in there. So like this one, I roll the last one into the next one. So this one, I would take out certain things. I don't want this article block anymore. I'd want to keep the vaccinations block, and that one will turn up for a couple of weeks or for how long we need it as the vaccinations are rolling out. But I'm going to eliminate a lot of things, and it's very simple to do because I know I'm not going to have this one. This one just becomes delete and yes, unsure. So it becomes a fairly simple editor. Everything takes a little bit of getting used to because that's just the way it is. You know, any type of new software or whenever you're going into anything. I think that kind of covers it. I don't want to go into too much minutia because that just overwhelms people. But for free, I think it's pretty darn good.
Got a question here from Margie. What is the limit to the number of folks you can send out a newsletter to?
It's better than Constant Contact. Under the free version, you can send it out to 2,000 subscribers. We will never hit 2,000 subscribers. So that's a good one. I'm just trying to think if there's. Again, I'm not. What I like about it is I have to like it. I don't have that $200 or $168 or $188 or whatever it was that Joan mentioned. We don't have it. It's as simple as that. So so for free, this does a pretty darn good job. It's clunkier than Constant Contact, but it really doesn't do a bad job at all.
Excellent. All right. Well, we are running perfect on time right now, so that is excellent. So
okay, I'm gonna end my screen share here. All righty.
So now we will turn it over to Joan and company, if need be, for a quick delivery tutorial on Constant Contact.
Okay, we deliver. I gotta figure out if 182 is worth it because that looks really cool. But there are some different things about Constant Contact that I'll share. One of the things that we also do we not only have the student population, but we also have a population of people who do not have computers. So Constant Contact lets us make PDFs and we print them and we mail to about 34 people in the neighborhood who don't have computers. So I'm going to go to the website.
I have a question. If you do the mailing, how do you collect money?
Collect money for
Your stamps.
Yeah, well, it's between the Jefferson Park Association and the nonprofit. And the nonprofit has always been able to have a great big t-shirt sale. And we've made a couple thousand at it. And this year, no t-shirt sale. So we're running short, but not too bad. You know what? I can't see this. Okay, so I have got to go get the, I only have the PDF. I don't have the website. Hey, Ben.
Are you trying, Joan, let me see if I can bring it up.
Well, I don't think, wait a
You know,
minute.
I could,
No, that's not it.
no.
Just a sec. So I just think I go back to, I just have to get it on my computer. Hold on.
Okay. The other thing,
There
well,
it is.
while Joan's trying to do that, we also collect dues. They're completely voluntary, but we do a door hanger in which we put, upon which we attach an envelope for dues, and we get a really good response. It's only $15, but that helps us defray the cost, for example, of, you know, stamps and that kind of thing. Okay, did you get it, Joan?
I have it, but now how, oh, shoot.
So when you do collect money,
Yeah.
is it, what bank, do you have a separate account for that?
Yes. We have
And which bank do you utilize?
So we have two accounts. We have one that is the Friends of Jefferson Park, which is a nonprofit so that, you know, people can get a tax write-off. And then we have a Jefferson Park account and everything's through Vantage West. That was started quite a long time ago before I ever came on board, but I think they, you know, they have good rates and that kind of thing.
And so they don't charge you a monthly fee?
Joan, do they?
No, the nonprofit, I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's through Vantage West?
Yeah, and we have a treasurer who keeps track of everything and, you know, so, and we get monthly reports, that sort of thing, so.
Got it.
Okay.
I should have the right picture up right now.
You do.
Yeah.
Okay. So the editing looks very much like what Fran was showing you. There's some other little bells and whistles. But one of the things that this can do, these are all the ones that I've done. This one's a draft that I'm still working on. And it's going to look very much like what Fran showed you. And I was going to ask Fran a question about hers because the way we do the pictures is different.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what she was showing you, except it appears on the left. It was real important for our meetings this time, but when I want to know from Fran, can you do, like I can set an image right next to this and put an image in there. I don't know if that Chimp lets you do that.
It's not as easy as you just did that. It's far more, it does, I don't like the way it does that. It does not, no, I'm not gonna say it does that, no. Not like that. There's a workaround, but not like that.
Okay, you asked how we get people to subscribe. They can subscribe on the website. They can subscribe by calling one of us. And then we send out a door hanger every year that has all the information on it, and then also has an envelope that's stapled to it that has the dues and then begs for donations. So that goes to everybody. And we just sent one of those out. Colleen, we just got, the Friends just got about 350. I don't know if you picked up any more for JP&A.
There's quite a bit, but I have it in there for the treasurer.
Yeah, and we also have a PO box. so that addresses don't change. PO boxes are now $108 a year. They started out really like 60, but now they're up to 108. But it's nice because if Colleen isn't present, then we don't have to use that same address. And for the city, we use the PO box for when they ask for addresses for officers. So the other thing that I wanted to show you is, I don't know if you have this across the top. We can get all these reports. It's very interesting that I can click on one person, and here's this guy, and I can see how much has been sent to him and how many times he's opened it, and then how many times he's clicked on one of the links. It's also in contacts when we set it up. Go back to it. Let's see, if I was going to add a contact, I'll show you real quickly. So I can put, when somebody subscribes, I can put all this information in there, their email address, I can put in phone numbers. So now I know we can find people that we need to find, and then we can see how active they've been. It is interesting. And I tell you, we've got 300. That's how many newsletters I've sent out. And we have 300 plus people who I've subscribed, but there's some problems with Cox. And there's our open rate. So maybe we have 300, we only have 150 that actually open it every time. These 100% are when I open one and I make a PDF to mail. So I guess, what do we get for our 182? We store all our images, and I don't know, Fran, how you get your images.
Actually, MailChimp, not to interrupt yours, but MailChimp does have the same thing. It has a content library, so we can store all our images there. I find it easier not to go through that. I set up images in a folder every time. And then our mail or a subscriber list, I mean, they're just about interchangeable with Constant Contact and us. Same thing. It also provides information on who opened it and everything and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm not so sure that for 182 bucks, that we get very much more than you do.
Oh, I think the person to talk to there would be Meg, because she knows both of them.
Yes, she does. Yeah.
Yeah.
and she knows more how to use them than I do. Can't think of anything else.
I just wanted to make one other comment, then that is that I think sometimes because the online version has a tendency to become so long that especially for the mail version, Joan reduces it somewhat and doesn't repeat as much information, because a lot of times you all have been seeing this. You'll see that the information, especially the more general information, just remains at the bottom, but that makes for a very long newsletter. So when you're trying to send out actual pages and also pay for all that printing ink, it's better to reduce it. And Joan, is it usually reduced to about 6 pages when you?
5. I'll usually go in and really reduce, some of the narrative, and I can reduce the pictures and make the pictures smaller so things will fit on the pages better for them. And then stuff that has only a link to it, it doesn't make sense to send that to people who don't have a computer. So those I'll sometimes eliminate. But the people that talk about who appreciates it, it's been the more people who get it mailed to them who I get a response from, and they say thank you very much when they send in their dues. So I'm thinking that that's pretty much, there's a lot that I don't use on here. There's the YouTubes and some of the social stuff.
probably I only use about 50%. Meg probably is all the way up to 90% on all the stuff she uses.
I'm with you, Joan. I don't use any video stuff. I don't use any, you know, there's a lot of stuff I just leave behind. Forget it.
All right. That's great. And we are really doing well on time. So now,
Sarah says,
I got you there. So we'll just open it up for general questions. If anybody has any questions for our panelists, we'll start with Sarah from the Ward 3 office.
Because I enthusiastically raised my hand.
Yes.
I'm curious, both Joan and Fran, how you take advantage of your annual hard copy newsletter. These, you know, in terms of, you know, you're doing these electronic newsletters very regularly. How does that change for the mailing? And Joan, I know that's a little bit strange for Jefferson Park because you're already doing a kind of abbreviated mailed version every time, but for your annual mailing that can go to all residents in the neighborhood, are you drawing information from the e-newsletter for that? Does it, how does that happen?
we make sure that we send it out before or near the elections. And it's very general for people, and it has all the ways that they can become involved. The website is on there, how to get the e-news is on there. But there's a rule that you have to, at least for the nonprofit, that you have to advertise at least your annual meeting to everybody. And so that fulfills that obligation. And so we send it by PDF and the city sends it out. It's just black and white, yeah.
And one thing we began to do, because a few years back, we kept forgetting that we had this fabulous resource of being able to send out this newsletter to every single household in Jefferson Park. So, and then it would become May. Well, you know, when things were normal, all the kids left in May. So what we do now is we send it out mid-September to early October so that we can also, you know, kind of gather in the different students and things like that and let them know resources that they may not be aware of because, you know, they just moved into the neighborhood or something like that. So we know that in particular, that one newsletter will go to every single household. So we try to tailor it to, you know, new residents as well as residents who are already here.
The door hangers go to every single
for
person.
North Dodge, we've only had the one printed mailing since we've reactivated because we're still really new. So I just went and pulled it up. And I'm just kind of looking over what I did last year, and we'll be hitting it. We'll be looking at the fiscal year or starting at that, trying to get it out with the city of Tucson probably around May or June or something. And I have already actually brought it up to the other. We do have an elected board now, and the other board members about, you know, like what are we going to try and commit to this year? Are we going to do Trees for Tucson again? We did that last year. And that was very successful. And now we're looking at some community yard sales. So I would really like to incorporate those. But when I'm looking this over, I try to be more general, what is going on in the neighborhood. Things like we've got some bike boulevards coming through. The Grant Road Improvement Project is going through south of us. It's not on our border, but that's going to have a lot of impact on us. And so I was trying to be far more general and just kind of letting people know that there's a Tucson Police Department crime meeting, Fort Lowell Country Club crime meeting. Please, you know, please feel free to join on that. Neighbors helping neighbors thing, which is basically Joan and Colleen, us all when we, you know, trying to interchange and work together and stuff. A lot of these neighborhoods that affect North Dodge are actually in Ward 6, not in Ward 3. You know, just kind of a real general thing just to, but I also say subscribe to the e-newsletter. I think I got only about 15 responses, but hopefully next time it'll be more.
Colleen, what do those door hangers cost us? Do you remember? They were pretty cheap, weren't they?
Well, it's cheap relatively speaking.
Yeah, but she's only sending 80 out.
Yeah, we send out 750 door hangers, and our area reps usually deliver them. And I was trying to think of what the cost was. I did a few myself. I want to say it was about maybe somewhere around 100, 110 for the door hangers. But I would encourage every neighborhood, if you haven't sent out your one free newsletter from the city, do so, because, you know, once you PDF it, as Joan was saying, and send it in and lay it out, they send it out and the cost is absorbed by the city. So it's just a great way to get your neighborhood involved and maybe put in dues. And like Fran was saying, things about, you know, committees and meetings and that type of thing. I think somebody has a question.
It looks like Faye, you have
Yeah,
your
I
hand
do.
up.
Yeah, I do. Just curious, who does the printing of your door hangers? Is it local or do you?
Yeah, Action, because Action Printing from Prince and First, they are probably the least expensive place to get things like that done. We also sometimes use Glue Factory for different, we really like Glue Factory. They've done signs, but our door hangers are larger ones and they're already laid out. And so Glue Factory said they could do it, but it would be just a little bit different format. So we just kind of stick with for that particular item, we stick with Action Printing.
And we get them from Kelly Supply.
Yeah.
We get the door hangers from Kelly Supply, and you can do 3 up, 2 up, 3 up. There might be a 4 up too. They already have the
What
holes
does that
in the
mean?
top.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, so you take them in, they print them, they cut them for you.
So you're bringing the door hangers to Action. You already have them made, and then they just print them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where did
They
you
print them? They print them and they cut them. If they're cut to 2, they're cut to 3. And then I set them up first on an 8.5 by 11, or I just set up and I put 3 there, and then I put the back on it on a PDF, and I hand it to them with a flash drive, and then they just run them through and they cut them up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
If you want to know how much it is, I can put my email and look it up for you on the chat. I can do that.
Yeah, I want to say it was somewhere between $78 and maybe 95 or something like that.
Yeah, but that was for 600. She just needs to do 100.
Oh, she needs to do 100. Okay, yeah. So I was just telling them we do 750 are how many door hangers we usually do. So
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Great. And then in the chat, I see there's 2 questions from Margie. I'll do my best to answer them. Will the city ever get back to snail mailing more than one neighborhood newsletter? It's possible. I don't foresee that happening super soon, but Sarah, feel free to jump in. And then 2, how many neighborhoods make use of that service? I feel like, at least anecdotally from the neighborhoods I work with in Ward 3, I would say well over half. I'd say probably at least 2/3 of the active neighborhood associations use it. So, even active, this consists of, if there's an active board of 3, 4, 5 people, most everybody that has that sends out a newsletter. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 instances where a neighborhood might miss a year. They just either as an oversight or whatever the case may be. But I'd say I'd say around 2/3 at least of the neighborhoods I work with regularly send theirs out. All right. Well, if there's no last minute questions, we are perfectly on time to end this meeting at 6:30. All right. Well, thank you everybody for
Joan and Colleen. I'm looking forward to more interaction with both of you.
Yeah, I'm signing up for yours.
Thank
Copy
you.
away.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone.
Everybody,
Bye.
bye-bye.